Greetings and welcome to another episode of Q Points Podcast. I'm DJ Sir Daniel.
And my name is Jay Ray, sometimes known by my government as Johnny Ray Cornegay III.
And this is a very special episode of Q Points for the MPN Network. J Ray, tell them all about it.
Yes, we are so excited to be here recording for the MPN Network. This very special episode, which we're going to talk about in a second. But what y'all need to do is head on over to the MPN Network's website. It can be reached at mpn-llc.com. You should also check out the MPN Network on YouTube. They are at MPN Management on YouTube. So make sure that you go and subscribe. But Sir Daniel, because we are doing this for the MPN Network and the MPN stands for Mr. Peterson's Neighborhood, it's only right that we have a conversation about what might be the most famous neighborhood in all of music history.
Well, J Ray, I'm just going to say it flat out. J Ray, the Queensbridge projects is the most influential and consequential neighborhood in all hip hop history. And that's what we're going to discuss on this episode of Q Points Podcast. Queensbridge Projects was established in 1939, and it is the absolute largest public housing project in all of the United States.
Yes.
And as J-Ray, as somebody who grew up in New York, who grew up in Brooklyn, Queensbridge just naturally had this reputation about it. When you said Queensbridge and then they put projects at the end of it. You know, I grew up in the 80s, so projects had a connotation to it.
Mm-hmm.
So, but I want to start the conversation off, J Ray, with a question.
Yes.
Why do you feel as a people, Black people specifically, and as it pertains to hip hop, why is representing your neighborhood, your projects, your street, your town, why is that so important to us?
You know, it's so funny that you mentioned that. So in preparation for this show, I actually had that question running through my head.
Mm-hmm.
And here's what I have come to. Here's what I think. Because of the nature of how hip hop began, right?
Yes.
The architects of the culture.
Mm-hmm.
So many of the individuals that we talk about, their worlds were where they lived, right? So when we think about Queensbridge, when we think about, let's just say, New York City in general, right?
Right.
There are people today that have never left their borough. There are people today that have never left their neighborhood, right? And so I think when you take this idea of, I am a storyteller and I'm going to talk about what's real, you end up talking about what's real to you. And what's real to you is your neighborhood, your friends, your family. And that's why I think that's a big thing, is because we naturally are telling stories about where we're from.
Yes. And let me build on that. To your point about the pioneers, specifically the DJs and the sound systems that were born out of hip hop. A lot of hip hop, as we state a lot in our history of hip hop, was built on competition, and competition was, not your competition, your clout was built around having a reputation from your neighborhood, because within your neighborhood it's like a football or a basketball, I guess, what do they call those things, brackets. It's like a bracket. So whoever in that neighborhood, whoever's the best sound system, the best DJ, you get to the top, and then outside of that street, then you got to go to the block, and then from the block it goes on to the borough, and then outside the borough, it becomes a whole thing. And so, yes, you're absolutely right. And then, J-Ray, let's even take it further. When you think about a people who, for all intents and purposes, were disenfranchised.
Yep.
And we also know that these projects, Queensbridge and a lot of projects that were established in New York City in the early 30s, right after the Great Depression, were actually made for white people.
So, can we talk about that for a second? Because I think that's
Absolutely.
really important. And I think that was what one of the things that makes Black folks so brilliant, right?
Mm.
The
Hmm.
idea that this place was actually created for white folks. And then, because of the way racism works in
Yes.
America,
Hmm.
then reclassifying the income levels. So to
Hmm.
make
White
the
flight.
income white flight, so the income levels, if you made over this amount, you couldn't live here, right? So all the white people had to move out and go wherever they went, which left Black and Latino folks in Queensbridge. But what do we do every single time? Is we're going to make the best of where we are. One, and we are going to innovate and be creative in what it is that we do. And I think that stew that was
Hmm.
stirring in Queensbridge. Oh, and I'm going to say something, Sir Daniel. I think you'll agree with this. That stew that was stirring in Queensbridge allowed Marley Marl, who I think is the most important figure in Queensbridge. Like, period.
Without a
There's
doubt.
okay, so I'm not off there. I'm like, Marley is
No.
like the foundation for through which all of these other folks are kind of able to stand on his shoulders and move forward.
And I'll raise you one. Marley Marl is actually the through line for the connection to a lot of not just Queensbridge, but to a lot of bubbling hip hop rap acts in the moment. Because where do I want to start? So yes, as you said, we do best. We create community
Mhm.
wherever we go, and we establish community. We establish bonds. We establish a culture within wherever we live.
Yes.
And so as you stated, Marley Marl is first. I got to say this as a New Yorker, Queens per capita has like an abundance of rap artists, period.
Yes, yes,
Out of
yes.
all the boroughs, I mean, when you think about everything, I'm thinking about because Salt and Pepper just got inducted into the
Mhm.
Hall of Fame.
Yep.
We've got Salt and Pepper, so you have that whole Idol Makers crew,
Mhm.
Sweet Tea, well, no, Danny Dane is from Brooklyn, but you got the Kid
Run
and
DMC,
Plays,
all of
Run DMC, LL, and
Yep.
then you come to the future. You've got Nicki Minaj, you've got
Yep.
50 Cent, you've got Mobb Deep. All of these people within blocks of each other. When you hear them
Yes.
tell the stories, they're within blocks of each other's of each other. But let's go back to the 80s, and stay with Marley Marl for a minute. Marley Marl has connections to Herbie Lovebug.
Mhm.
Marley Marl has connections to all of these rap artists and rap producers because they're coming to him.
Yes.
DJ Clark Kent once said, and he's from Brooklyn. DJ Clark Kent once said he went to Marley Marl's house and to soak up knowledge from him. Marley Marl is the perhaps the epicenter of a golden era hip hop as it pertains to Queensbridge. And then on top of that, Marley Marl was on the
On the
radio.
radio.
He was on a college radio station, and with him, and then partnered with Mr. Magic.
Mhm.
Got the whole BLS thing going. So there is a lot to be said about Marley Marl, but of course, the story that you love to hear over and over again, the story
Of
that you love
course.
to
I mean,
tell,
it's a great story.
it's a great
Great
story.
story.
We've got the Juice Crew.
Yes.
The Juice Crew is probably, I mean, what enough can't be said about the Juice Crew.
Yeah.
And
Tentacles throughout the entire history of hip hop. And the Juice Crew encompassed, of course, folks, a bunch of folks from Queens. So Craig G and MC Shan and Roxanne Shante, but also Brooklyn. So you got
Big
Big
Daddy
Daddy
Kane,
Kane. I think Master Ace was from Brooklyn,
Bismarcky,
Biz Marquee.
yes,
Yeah, so you have these, but once again, to your point, and I love that you put it that way, like Marley Marl kind of bridging this gap, because I've always wondered this.
Bridge. I see what you did there.
Bridge, right. I've always wondered, and we could talk about this later, how important where you were from, like from your experience when you were
Hmm.
a kid, how important your borough was to how you walk through the world?
Oh, that's easy. It was super important.
Okay.
And I think and I know we're kind of skipping around
Yeah.
here, but of course we know that the bridge wars, as they were
Yes.
coined, um, was due to the static between that started growing
Boogie,
between MC Shan
Boogie Down
and Boogie
Productions,
Down Productions, who was from the Bronx.
Bronx.
And speaking of Boogie Down Productions and the song "The Bridge Is Over," I think KRS One literally put it into perspective about the different boroughs because he says it in the
He does.
in the rhyme. He says the Bronx
Bronx
keeps
keep
creating it,
mhm,
Brooklyn keeps on taking it.
taking it.
And what that means is Brooklyn is a borough full of thieves. Brooklyn, let me tell you something. Brooklyn had a reputation of if you like all of this, like if you got on a chain, keep it tucked when you
Right.
walk out walking, because you can get snatched, you can get juked at any moment. Biggie told you in his rhymes it was always robbing season in the borough of Brooklyn. So I said all that to say that because of that war,
Mhm.
that rhyme war between MC Shan and KRS One, the KRS One helped to establish the importance and the status of the
Of the Bronx.
boroughs
Yeah.
within New
Okay.
York, because all of them, and he put that on forefront for the rest of the world to know that, hey, when you come here to New York, this is what's happening. That borough right there, thieves, they got sticky fingers. This one right here, we created hip hop.
Mhm.
But this one right here, they think they're running things, but they all can't, but they're biters. You know, so that was the kind of reputation that he
Mm.
wanted to establish, which is debatable, which
Yes.
is
I mean,
highly
all of this is yeah,
debatable.
yeah, yeah.
But I will say that when it comes to results, when it came to just numbers,
Mhm.
Queens, listen, Queens is the thing. Like we mentioned earlier, you had your Run DMC and you had your LL Cool J, which if you want to talk about the beginnings of hip hop superstardom,
Yeah.
those two
Oh yeah.
establishments, Run DMC and LL Cool
Hello Cool
J, are at the top, the
Yeah.
apex of what it means to be a rap star, and they hail from Queens.
Yeah. So I want to go back to the story. So we're gonna mention some of the famous people that have come from Queensbridge in a second. But the story that really puts Queensbridge on the map,
Hmm.
I think this is a good time to tell. Here's how the story goes.
Yes.
Do you want to tell
Oh,
it? I can.
sure. Are
We
we
can do
talking
a
about the?
Roxanne. I was talking about the Roxanne Shante story.
Sure, we talking about, and it started all with a pair of Jordache jeans. You
Yes.
know, it's been told so many times before, but you know, Roxanne Shante had a reputation of just battling rappers in the neighborhood, in her neighborhood. And as we've plainly stated, Marley Marl is the man about town as far as music is concerned, production, and being on the radio.
Yes.
And so around this time, UTFO, and I've heard different versions of the story, but around this time, UTFO was really popping. UTFO
Mm-hmm.
is from Brooklyn,
Mm-hmm.
and they're popping because of their hit record, Roxanne,
Roxanne.
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 From
I'm
what
gonna
I
be your man.
understand, exactly, there was supposed to be Marley Marl and some other promoters had booked UTFO for a party, allegedly, and booked UTFO for a party, and they flaked. UTFO did not show
Oh,
up for
see
this
now that
party.
is interest. Okay. Mm-hmm.
Right. So, as a means of get back, you know, Marley was like, well, let's do an answer record.
Why not?
And so, why not? Because answer records at that time, I'm trying to think if even before that,
No,
I
this
can't
was like
think
the
of that
first
many
time that
answer records. Yeah.
yeah, this was really the first time in
So,
hip hop history that we really had like a true like an answer record.
right. And so as history, as the people that lived it tell it, Shantae was on on her way. And if any of you have lived in a neighborhood where you have to go outside of the
So
home to do
the
laundry,
laundry, yes.
doing laundry is a very important chore. And if you grew up with a single mother, you know that if you did not do what she asked you to do, it was going to be curtains for you.
Right.
So as the story as it's told, Shantae was doing her mother's laundry, doing the laundry for the household, and I guess in the projects they have a laundry facility,
Yeah.
and you can go put the clothes to wash, leave it, and then come back. And so Marley legendarily yelled out the window to Shantae, "Hey, you rap. I know you're the neighborhood legend.
Right.
I want you to come up here and spit something on this beat for me."
Mhm.
And he told her, he was like, "Have you heard this Roxanne record?" She was like, "Duh, who
Right.
hasn't heard the record?" And he's like, I need you to diss them. I need you to answer them. Pretend you're Roxanne,
Mhm.
and answer them and diss them." And she was like, "But why?"
Right.
Not even. But he was like, she was like, "Okay, whatever."
Right.
Nothing written. And
Nope.
when you listen to the OG recording, it was straight mic to tape.
Yes.
It was nothing, and it was him actually catching the record back and
Mhm.
forth over the specific drum pattern, and
Then
history
you
was
heard it.
made. And it went from tape to on air, but then the record label recorded it from on air and put that on wax. So when you have a 12-inch of Roxanne's Revenge, you're actually listening to a radio recording
Recording.
of Roxanne Shante going off the dome, dissing UTFO. And that record, of course, it starts, it's historical.
The
It
Roxanne
starts the
Wars.
Roxanne Wars. It starts the I guess the industry of answer records and
Yep.
within hip hop, because and it's also listed in the Guinness World Book of Records as
As the
had the
most.
record that has started the most amount of answer records ever. And so now Queensbridge is on the
The
map.
map. Yeah.
Queensbridge is
With
the
a
place
woman. With a
with a
woman
woman.
as the MC du jour. That I think is so important to, and when you think about this idea, and you talked about this a second ago, the Queensbridge, there are families, of course, living there, but there are
Hmm.
women who are heading households there. So when
Absolutely.
you think about the idea of Black women and what they represented within community, it's kind of only right that this like rough of an MC would be this little girl. Cause she's gotta hold it down in her community. It just
Hmm.
is what it is.
And I love the fact that she was like, she did it, and she was like, okay. Oh, and she did it for a pair of jeans.
Right.
Because
Jordache jeans.
Marley worked at a Jordache factory, and she was like, okay, you want me to do this? I need a pair of Jordache jeans. So what's up? And then she did it. She was like, okay, I need my jeans. I'm about to go get this laundry. See you later. The next thing you know, her voice is all over the radio.
She is
And
a legend.
she is a legend. And earlier I had mentioned that housing projects all over this
Mhm.
country tend to have a bad connotation to them, have a negative connotation to them. And but the thing is, like we said earlier, these projects were established for working class white people.
Yep.
Queensbridge, Left Rack, Red Hook, all of these different housing projects did not start getting their reputation until the crack era.
Yeah. Oh, that's really interesting. Um, because that is the thing. So in the 1980s, let me take a step back. I knew about Queensbridge just from the diss war between Boogie Down
Hmm.
Productions and MC Shan. Because when I was a kid, I didn't have a concept of neighborhoods in other places. I only knew my neighborhood. So there's two
Right.
points that I think are interesting. One, uh the rise of Queensbridge also underscores the fact that rap used to be really local. You know what I'm
Yes.
saying? So that's like
Mhm.
one thing I want to underscore. And then two, to your point, um, housing projects, housing developments in black and brown communities became lightning rods for the political administration of the time
Yes.
to begin locking folks up. It got real
Mhm.
crazy, and there was a
You
lot of
hear the
things
term
happening.
welfare queen come
Welfare
around.
queen come around, crack babies, which never existed, but that was a term that people was using. And you did have this influx of money to some of the folks that were in communities, right? Because they were doing nefarious things. So that was a thing. Um, Guns did become more prevalent all of a sudden. And so all of these places became famous on the news for that, and
Mhm.
also producing these brilliant artists.
And we cannot talk about Queensbridge and not speak on one of the most prolific rappers to come out
Period.
of Queensbridge, because when you talk about it's such a dichotomy when you have that environment where it's full of killers.
Mhm.
There could be static at any moment. People are doing whatever they need to do to make money to survive because Reaganomics.
Yes.
And so, but out of this
Mhm.
confusion, conflict, out of that grows a very prolific young
Yes.
man. And I don't know if being able to look through your apartment window and see the bridge, Queensbridge, and see the water and then see the skyline of Manhattan right outside your window, I, because Manhattan, of course, is the promised land,
Right.
because Manhattan represents money.
Mhm.
And so I guess from I don't know if seeing that right outside your window kind of gets those wheels turning, but
Like,
clearly
how can I get over there?
right. And so, but clearly Nasir Jones, who we all
Yes.
know as Nas, was clearly born with a gift,
Oh yeah.
and but he was not immune to the stuff that happens to especially young black men growing up in this environment.
Mhm.
And so before we go any further, I think we do need to name some people who don't get a lot of shine, who don't necessarily aren't necessarily shouted out. But you got Big Noid,
Mhm.
Black Poet, the Brave Hearts, for
Oh
you
yeah.
Uchiwali fans,
Uh-huh.
Capone of Capone and
Yes.
Noriega.
Uh-huh.
Noriega is from Left Rack, so that's why he's not in this
Right.
conversation. Craig G, Mob Deep,
Yes.
Bernard Fowler for the Rolling Stones, background singer for the
Yeah,
Rolling
yeah,
Stones
yeah.
from Queensbridge. Vern Fleming, NBA player. Sean Green, NBA player. Um, the list
Wow.
goes on. Mel Johnson, actor and film producer. We said Jungle, Nature, Andy Walker, another NBA player. So Queensbridge, can really boast a lot of star power, a lot of children that have grown up in that environment and really made something of themselves. And so, but I think when we talk about, as I stated in the beginning of this episode, that Queensbridge is the most influential and consequential because in the golden era, you have, like you said, this little 14-year-old girl
Mhm.
who literally sparks a whole movement, a
Yes.
diss war movement, an answer record movement,
A
a
crew.
move a whole crew, a movement for women MCs,
Mhm.
because to coin her phrase, I gave birth to most of them MCs. And she wasn't only talking about female rappers, she was
No.
literally talking about her crew, the Juice Crew.
Yes.
And so all of that got them all record deals, because without her, pop art and then later on
Yes.
Warner Brothers would
And
have
that's
not been interested and created a whole label for them, the Cold Chillin'
the cold
label.
chillin' label.
And so that showed other record labels that this music is viable. This music is marketable. Then you have, and then because Marley Marl is a radio personality and DJ, he's getting tapes from different people. He's getting a tape from a producer named Herbie Lovebug of a
Yeah.
group called Supernature, who's answering another hot record
Yep.
called The Showstopper.
Yep.
40 years later, we have Salt and Pepper being
In-
inducted into the
into the
Hall of
Rock and Roll
Fame.
Hall of Fame.
You have a lot of Uptown MCA artists are actually being produced by Marley Marl.
Marl.
And
Yeah.
so Uptown MCA, of course, becomes this mega label that houses that bring gives us Mary J. Blige and Jodeci. Come on. So all of that stems
Stems
from
from
Queensbridge.
Queensbridge.
And back to your point, J. Ray, it pretty much starts with Marley Marl.
um, this is so amazing. I'm so glad we decided to have this conversation. I want to I'm curious to know what this is for you.
Mm.
Um, when is the first time, or what do you think kind of is the most iconic visual of Queensbridge?
To me, it's the most iconic. Then, if we're going to talk about that, is the cover of MC Shan's. I think it's the cover for the 12-inch of the bridge.
Bridge.
So on this cover, and a lot of the publicity shots is him wearing his Fila tracksuit, his gold chain, and his Kangol, literally posed in front of Queensbridge. The monument is right in your face.
I remember, of course, Nas's Illmatic cover, just seeing like this
Oh
young
yeah.
kid's face with this sprawling complex behind
Hmm.
it, spoke volumes. One, about the scale, but also about the weight that place carried.
Yeah.
And yeah, this is and this is a neighborhood. This is not even all of Queens, y'all. We are talking about
Not
a place in
in
Queens.
Queens. Absolutely. We are talking about a Here's the thing about public housing, especially way back in like the 70s and 80s, they were insular. Like a
Yeah.
lot of public housing had their schools on
Mhm.
location. You had grocery stores on location, recreational centers, the playgrounds, everything was right there because it was done on purpose so that people didn't have to go far. They literally had a community that they had everything right there for them. And so that again, that creates a sense of community and a sense of belonging. And when you enter into the hip hop era, that creates a sense of this. If we don't know anybody out, we don't know anybody outside of this village.
Yeah.
If you're not from this village, we'll be looking at you sideways unless you know somebody that knows somebody that knows somebody.
Man, oh man. Queensbridge, y'all. Thank you so much for y'all hanging out with Q Points as we hang out on the MPN Network. So, once again, you can subscribe to the MPN Network on YouTube. They are at MPN Management on YouTube, and you should definitely go and visit the website. It is mpn-llc.com. Thanks to the MPN Network for welcoming Q Points onto the platform. So here's what y'all need to do. If you can see our faces and hear our voices, make sure that you subscribe wherever you are. Make sure you visit our website at qpoints.com. You can see the entire archive of Q Points episodes, and there are a lot of them to check out with conversations just like this. Shop our store at store.qpoints.com and also check us out on Substack, where we have some additional content. We appreciate y'all. We love y'all.
We absolutely do. And like we always say in this life, you have a choice. You can either pick up the needle or you can let the record play. I'm DJ Sir Daniel,
My name is Jay Ray, y'all.
and this has been Q Points Podcast, dropping the needle on Black music history. We will see you on the next go round. Peace.
Peace, y'all.